Today marks the 10th year anniversary of September 11th, 2001, and if you're tuning in, this is the One Idea Ahead channel. I'm your host, Dash. I just wanted to give an account of how my day unfolded, being 13 years old in 8th grade, living in Northern Virginia, about half an hour west of D.C., and just kind of how, I remember it. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible, so you can maybe check out some more videos. If you wouldn't mind going on YouTube after this and just search September 11th and watch some of the footage, because every time I do that, it just kind of sets me back and gives us a reminder as far as just how that day unfolded for everybody. So if you wouldn't mind doing that after this video, I think it'd be a good reminder. Now, my dad had worked in New York City for probably about a year and a half at that point, traveling up there 2, maybe even 3 times a week, and staying in I think it was the Marriott Hotel, whichever one it was, the one like 2 buildings away from the World Trade Centers. Now, several years ago, before that, we'd actually lived in New York and about half an hour north of New York City, so I'd been in the World Trade Center a couple times and looked out those glass windows to the whole city and seen, they had a really cool scale model, like huge scale model of the whole city there. And, the lobby was really cool. It had all the flags, walk around and just kind of see all the different flags of the world, and so it was a really, really cool place. So, my dad, after his job of going up to New York City about a month before then, he actually changed jobs and started working in the Pentagon. So, not every day, but like he would visit there a couple times a week. Excuse me. So, like I said, I was in 8th grade, very young. Gosh, that was a long time ago. It was like any other day. It started the same. It was only been in school a couple weeks, then the summer was it was gone. So I still hadn't gotten in this habit of doing homework or studying. So I was regretting going to school that day because I had some assignments I didn't do. But it started like any other day. A couple students getting pulled from class just to make sure their schedules were good, getting ready for high school or whatever it was. So it was about lunchtime that it began the whole changing of the day, I guess, if you will. What started realizing something was a little out of the ordinary. Coming back from lunch, I had realized that there was a line of parents just going out the door from the office. And I was like, okay, maybe there's just like, at first I was like, okay, so there's some tour or some field trip. I'm like, but it's the beginning of school. Why would you be going on a field trip? And why would all the parents be there? So it was that right after lunch when I went to that 3rd class for the day. We started with pretty much a full class, and by the end of it, we were down to like a dozen students. Like 2/3 of our class had been called off and taken back home. So they didn't give any details yet. It's pretty obvious that something was going on. So go to my Spanish class, last class of the day, and there's only, I want to say like 8 or 9 students there, and all of us stayed the whole time. No. At this point, all the parents had picked up the kids that were going to, and I remember our Spanish teacher was very, very energetic. So he couldn't do serious. He just, for the life of him, couldn't do it. So towards the end of class, like the last 15 minutes, he said, all right, I'm going to end it early. I just want to tell you what's been going on today, why everyone's been leaving. And he said that a couple planes had hit the World Trade Centers and that they had collapsed, and that there had also been one that had hit D.C. Now, he didn't know it was a Pentagon because, it was hard to get details in the middle of school, but so I was like, at first I thought he was joking because, like I said, he doesn't do serious, and he said it very, very kind of, I hate to say it, but like jokingly. So yeah, then the principal came on the PA system and said, no details. He just said there's been a tragic accident that's happened that's affected the nation. Please be efficient or whatever he used to get on the bus so we can all get everyone home safely. So any other day, it would have been minutes just sitting there waiting for all the kids to get on the bus and find their bus and get on out of there. That day, I think within like 3 or 4 minutes of the bell ringing, every single bus was out of the parking lot. I'd never seen that before. So the whole ride home, I was thinking, well, he just said D.C. He didn't say the Pentagon. I knew my dad was working at the Pentagon, so I'm thinking, I hope he's okay. So I go home. First thing I do is turn on the TV. First screenshot I seen is of downtown New York, the whole, I guess, downtown area, in one shot, and just all of it filled in smoke. And at first I thought they had a weird angle that I was missing the towers, and then I had realized that he did say they had collapsed. They weren't there anymore, and then I was like, that smoke is coming from where the World Trade Centers used to be. So that set me back big time. I was just, I mean, at that point I didn't realize like how big this was. About half an hour later, they started switching back and forth to the Pentagon, and then I was like, oh wow. Luckily my mom had realized that my dad didn't work at the Pentagon that day. He went to the other office, so luckily that was very calming. So I was at least thankful for that, greatly thankful for that. So at that point it was just a matter of understanding what had happened, and then I guess it was about 4 o'clock or so, they realized that the fourth plane had gone down in Pennsylvania, so they weren't sure if that was related. And at the same time, they brought up a couple reporters because they'd finally made their way to Ground Zero. And I remember hearing all these like car alarms going off, and usually a car alarm lasts a couple minutes and then it stops. Or they're always going to be a little bit different. None of them sound the same, but all of these sounded the same. And at that moment, I knew exactly what it was. Exactly. And it struck me. I said, you know, a lot of firefighters are dead, and a lot of people have died. I mean, I knew that happened, but that's when it hit me, as far as just everything had gone on. And the news reporters, I mean, they didn't know what those beeping were, because it was all the same. And what happened is all the firefighters had their suits on, and there's sensors in them now where, or even then, that had, I guess if you're still for, I don't know what the time is, maybe like a minute or half a minute. If you're still, that means, you know, something, you've injured yourself and you need to be rescued. So the alarms on their vests go off, and everywhere, I mean, it was like all around this reporter was these loud, you know, beepings from the alarms on them, and they finally figured out that was from all the firefighters that were in the buildings when they collapsed, trying to get everybody out safely. And you know, the rest of the day I hadn't moved from the TV. I didn't grab a snack when I got home. I didn't eat dinner. I didn't even bother about homework. I was just watching the TVs. And I remember when I first turned on the TV, it was actually on just some like History Channel or some other channel that wasn't a news channel, and it had the news. And I remember after about an hour or so, I figured out what was going on. I started changing channels, and every channel except for Cartoon Network, and I think there was like one other one, was broadcasting the news station. So everybody, even if you had like basic cable or didn't have access to them, you could see what was going on. No commercials, no nothing. And I was just like, this is big. So I mean, if it wasn't obvious at that point, that's just another thing I remember. So I guess that was pretty much the day. The rest of the week, I didn't, you know, the teachers didn't collect homework. They knew it was pretty traumatic for a lot of kids because, I mean, like I said, we were only maybe half an hour west of D.C. A lot of parents were working in the area, so it was, you know, I wouldn't say it hit home to a lot of them, but it was severe enough to strike a chord in everybody where it was like, our lives have been changed. So kind of as a tribute, when I started driving a couple years later, I threw this in the back, or not in the back seat, but above where the tail light is, and in the back window. And I have window tinting, so it doesn't fade that much. But kind of as a respect for all those lives that were lost, and also just for all the patriots that have fallen before that event and are serving our country now. So it's just kind of a thank you to them. So I'm just going to close the video off with that. I'm sorry if this was a little bit more serious. I mean, all my other videos just going out there having fun. A lot of it's just like outdoor stuff, and go ahead and check them out if you want. But I think what reminded me the most is just every now and again I'll go on YouTube and just search September 11th, and watching some of those videos, just how it unfolded. It took everybody by surprise. That's to say the least. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Thanks for sticking around. Maybe leave a video of what you remember. That would be cool. Just so people could watch it, remember that day in history. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you.